It's 5 o'clock. Call the meeting to order.
More appropriate though.
Welcome to our first budget workshop of the month of March. Before we get started, just might be helpful to talk processes. We have at least one board member who is new to this process. Generally what we have an agenda to go through 4 different cost centers today. Thank you to the folks who are involved in those cost centers for showing up to help provide more information about that. And generally what we do is we go through each thing in detail, this is an opportunity to ask questions about this particular work. And then the last 2 meetings are generally when we have the opportunity to look at the entire budget, understanding where we are, and then begin a discussion process about what feels affordable and how we prioritize the expenses that have been presented to us. So with that, I will hand it over to Brian or Janet.
All right, so real quick overview, and apologies because there are 2 figures that we still do not have. That would be the health center subsidy and the snow plowing cost. So those numbers are not reflected in this summary page in the front. I don't know, do they have the summary page? Excellent.
I don't think,
I didn't see the summary.
I don't think so.
No, okay, that's just mine then.
Thanks.
Anyway, so the healthcare subsidy and the snowplow contract, obviously, the snowplow contracts, we haven't received one that's been accepted yet. The health center subsidy, we're supposed to meet with Chris. It was supposed to be today. He got busy. We're supposed to meet with him tomorrow and we can figure out the health center subsidy. So those 2 figures are not reported in this spreadsheet currently. So I don't want you to look at it and go, oh, hey, they shaved $700,000 off the budget, because it did not work that way. Yeah, it did not work that way. So I wanted to get that out of the way. As far as increases and decreases go, there are adjustments that have been made kind of across the board. Basic cost of living increases for employees. As far as actual expenses go, some of them are going down. Heating oil is going down, like as we transition to solar for several of the buildings in town. So you'll see those reductions. There are some increases for things that we would like to do. And we'll get to those specific projects and their costs kind of as we get to them. But overall, not a huge increase from the previous year once everything is said and done. But yeah, we'll get into it.
Well,
yeah.
On your initial take, estimating those 2 items that are not solid, we're over under by X percentage, basically, like this is 5% increase or 8% or.
As far as where we're at now.
Well, where we're at now, estimating those 2 numbers. I'm just trying to get a comparison. Last year we came in with a pretty significant increase.
I see what you're saying. Do we have any inclination for what the health center's budget is gonna be?
I know it's gonna be around $1 million.
Okay, which is about what it was last year, so that's not gonna be a major
I mean,
increase.
the subsidy.
Yeah.
Was gonna be close to
Okay.
$1 million.
Yeah,
We don't
yeah.
know.
And I think it was,
No, but I'm just trying to get.
I think it was just, I mean, it was just under $1 million last year as well. So there's not gonna be, we're not expecting a huge increase in the health center budget. As far as the snowplow contract goes, we'll have to see
That
what,
could be a 500, but if you say a
yeah.
500,000 increase, let's say, where does that put us about? Like,
Yeah,
give me a
I'm
number about.
off the top of my head, no, but if the snowplow contract is anywhere near what the current contract we have is, again, there's not a
Okay.
huge increase.
Yeah.
If we take the contract bid that came in most recently, for example, just as a number, it'll at least double. I think it was 2.5 times.
But, right, but how does it, okay, never mind. So you're not able, I just was trying to see if we're under 10% total aggregate increase right now without doing any numbers.
Don't really know,
Okay.
just with the unknowns that we
All right.
currently have. Yeah, we'll have to have more data in order to
Okay.
give you
And
better.
is the Waldo County increase reflected in this somewhere?
Don't know what that's gonna be either.
But we have a sense that it's gonna be at least,
We know what they wanted.
yes.
Which is not what they're gonna come back and ask for, but what they wanted was a 50% increase over their previous ask.
Right,
So it went from right around 980,000 to over 1.5 million.
right. But they've already stepped back from that, I think.
So, and it'll depend on how far they've stepped back in order to see kind of how that's gonna impact us.
That's Friday night, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming up soon that they should be finalizing that.
In theory, right?
And then they will hold a public
And
hearing.
then a final point.
They are meeting on Friday as a collective. And then they're going to set the date for the public hearing. Even though it doesn't require a vote, the budget committee said that they will not rubber stamp anything without or without the county's input. And then it'll be approved. I think if you're trying to guesstimate anything for those, I would do it at the 17.9%. Because that's gonna be that's the most recent eyeball number that came through.
Oh, is it 18% increase?
Yes,
Okay, well,
And so,
that's
'cause
better
they-
than 50.
yeah, they can do 18.4%. Depending on how you read the statute, as long as they stay under an 18.3% increase, they can do it without legislation approval. So they're trying to squeak it at 17.9. Most recently, the committee came back and said it needs to be under 10. And they all got up in arms about it and have now started threatening to do reductions in force. Of departments that don't move the needle. And so, it'll be interesting to see what they come back with. But if you're trying to snowball one, you could do it at the 17.9.
I was only, let's move on.
I'd say,
I was
let's
just
focus,
trying to-
yeah, let's
No,
focus
I'm-
on what we know
I was
and then
just
we
trying
can,
to get a-
yeah.
What we can control versus that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, so we'll update those numbers as soon as we have them. Like I said, one of them we should have by next week.
Fine.
The other one, we're not sure. It's gonna depend on when those bids come in.
Yep, it's on the 25th,
Okay.
so we'll know.
All right, starting off, in 41-1 select board, absolutely no changes from last year. Not asking for an increase or decrease unless you guys want to change that.
Could you just remind me structure wise, this FY 26 balance is how much is left to spend, not how much has been spent to date, correct?
That's how much is remaining. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right,
But we'll be paying it out in June, and
Yep.
that's
Right.
why.
Yep.
And there's like a lot of these.
Yep,
accounts.
yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure as I was looking at it that I was clear on what that number meant.
41-2 municipal building, cost going up for the custodian simply because we needed to offer more money because nobody wanted the job. So we have I'm sorry, that's 41-2, 10-15. Labor custodian, you're right above it.
Thanks.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so labor custodian, that's going up from 5 to 10, just because we had to offer more money to get somebody to actually do that position. Phone and fuel oil costs are going down. Other than that, not really a change there either. I'm sorry, the IMB subsidy, is going up because those costs are increasing ever so slightly.
And on the IMB, I don't think it's Barry.
Barry is not on.
Okay, there's a possibility that this, new company that took over GWI might want to do our billing. And we don't know what that would do. You know, what it would cost
Yeah,
us,
a lot of questions.
so. I think, we'll have a better grip on it before the end of the budget, but. So that might, I don't know if it would reduce it or increase it, so.
Okay, and we have another time, right? The municipal broadband is also on the schedule for 2 weeks from now.
That's when they come in with the whole budget, but you just vote on the subsidy.
Okay.
And same for the health.
Right, but it's driven by the budget that they're gonna present to us.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's where the subsidy figure comes from. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. What's next? Groundwater operations. No idea. What's groundwater operations?
Pam Larson asked for that $500 and she's new on that committee. And there currently is $11,844 in their capital reserve. So, I mean, that's something we could strike in the future and just let her take from capital reserve. If it's such a small amount, I don't know if they have something in general that they want, but I think we've done that in the past, you know, if they've done anything, taking it from capital reserve.
I'm sorry, I don't see 500, I see 500 down here, where is that, what line item? Oh, we're down, all right.
Cause if we haven't
Thank you.
budgeted for it before, just
Yep.
because there was money in capital reserve.
Yep,
All right, next one, general government, CEO and assessor, cost of living adjustments there for Dave, that's really the only change. Going down to, yeah, that next section, supplies, mapping. The assessing, the assessor fee is going up slightly. We're asking for just a little more there. And that's really the major change in 41.4. 41.5, all cost of living adjustments, because these are all payroll lines.
What is the cost of living adjustment that's been applied?
It's 2.18,
8.
yeah. And slightly more for the Family Medical Leave Act costs, simply because it's a percentage of payroll, so as payroll goes up, those costs also go up.
And the health center has their own.
Yes,
Medical
they got-
leave
they got
act,
their
their
own-
own budget, so.
they got
it's
their own
cheaper.
line item. Coming down to 41.5, and then let's see, ferry fares. That's 30-12. Yep, you got it. Ferry fares are going up slightly. I think we all know why that is. Ferries are getting more expensive. Dues. Let's see. There we go. Dues going up ever so slightly, asking for an additional $200 there.
4011,
Consultant.
We're talking about 4010.
okay, sorry,
Dues.
I know, I'm sorry,
Consultant is actually going down. We're hoping to
Right.
use less legal services, or at least
but that's legal,
Yeah, that's pretty
Okay.
clarity. That's the town attorney.
thank you.
And we're hoping to use the town attorney less in the future,
Then
so,
you're fine.
right. Yeah, bank fees and consultants also going down. Again, I negotiated away all of our bank fees, so we really don't pay anything for bank fees. So yeah, don't need as much of a budget there. Election clerks going up slightly, or we're asking for a little bit more, just because, we need to pay people more in order to do the job. Other than that, there are really no other changes from the previous year in 41.5. Next is 41.6, and it looks like we got guest speakers.
And you have a handout in your, demo meeting.
Was that circulated at all, or?
Yes, they all have.
We haven't, we just got it today, we haven't really had a chance to read through it, this is.
I mean, our bottom line is not looking for an increase this year, which we're happy to hear about. But can give you just an overview of the year so far, high level in terms of enrollment numbers going into the new year. We will be graduating one student to go to the pre-K program, 4-year-olds now at the big school, assuming they're able to figure out staffing. But there are 4 new babies coming in this year, so which is exciting. I am one of them, so. Keeping the preschool going. Yeah, we've had a really great year. We've from like a stability standpoint, we're fully staffed with a great staff and, we've been able to extend our services to an aftercare program at no additional cost, so getting more for our dollar. Parents do pay for that as well. Have really grown our board, our fundraising committee has done well. We kind of started from really no fundraising effort a couple of years ago to really focusing over the last couple of years at building our building out our campaign lists and increasing transparency and communication to the community about the preschool, because so many people on the island just don't even know what's going on. So they've been doing significant efforts there. And we're gearing up to do more of a, fundraising campaign to grow our endowment, as sort of a key part of our year ahead. With, more of a team in place for our fundraising committee. What else can I tell you? What am I missing?
And that pretty much covered it, and the letters kind of explained, so just.
The school's very like infant heavy, younger population. We've
Mhm.
shifted to a much younger population. So, Lindsay and I spent time with the big school and a task force earlier this year, kind of figuring out how that was going to look. And if you joined their board meeting on, I guess it was Monday of this week, that's like formally passed. So they're planning on taking pre-K, kindergarten and first grade in under one teacher, but our reality is that's like one kid right now. So it's not like really gonna make a huge impact this year either way. We are still technically keeping our pre-K program open in case there is a weird year. I mean, actually next year, there's no kindergartners. There's just one pre-K student and then like 4 first graders that will be in that classroom. So that might not work for every kid. Their parents might want flexibility based on enrollment numbers to keep their child at the preschool for an extra year or move them ahead, but still kind of a work in progress, and we're seeing how it goes.
Thank you. I mean, it sounds like you have had a really good year. I know last year we had a lot of really hard discussions, and I appreciate everything that you've done this year in keeping the budget, stable, but also I'm really happy to hear about all of the things that it sounds like is really helping make things better for you and your organization, and also providing really high quality care to the youth of Islesboro, which is really important. So thank you for everything you're doing there.
Thank you for supporting. It's
So
helpful.
how much, you have an overall budget for per year, and then there's something goal for the endowment. But, how much of the budget is met by tuition versus charitable contributions versus the subsidy?
The subsidy is just going towards partial costs for staff, for full-time employees. The preschool, we have very low tuition. We did do an increase recently, and I think that's something that the preschool has always felt really strongly about, especially with the costs for families rising everywhere. If this can be like the one thing that helps a family stay on the island or even incentivizes somebody to be here, like we want to be that reason. So, that we do have an endowment that we're looking to grow. We are going to need to probably raise it up to close to 5 million in order to get to a place where we don't need to ask the town for anything anymore and we're fully sustainable, which is part of like our next move in the capital campaign.
So what is the endowment currently?
I think we're at 1.5, give or take.
And
So we
your
pulled,
fundraising is gonna be focused on
yeah,
getting closer to the 5 million.
Yeah.
eventually. I mean, right now, this year, we mostly worked on strengthening connections with donors, and we saw substantial growth in our income from that, which kind of offset we had an enrollment projection and then people didn't enroll their kids and it ebbed and flowed. So it kind of, with the town support and our endowment draw, we broke even like we did. So hopefully this coming year, we can strengthen that even further and kind of work on our campaign and go from there. It takes a couple of years to put that together, so, now that we kind of have our feet underneath us, that's our next goal.
I'd just like to say that, the subsidy that we give, it covers about 8 months.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
we
it just ran
made
out
the
this month.
last payment.
Yeah.
For that, so.
Yeah, so we're on our own from March to June.
Do you guys still average it that we cover 58% of your staffing costs?
Sounds about right, yeah.
I'm sorry, did I interrupt somebody? Right now, how many pre-K kids do you have?
Technically none, if we're going by age group.
And you're expecting one next year?
Yeah.
Toddlers?
For
Uh,
pre-K, or we split it between,
Well, technically pre-K is like 4 to 5, so almost.
Okay.
We have 4 toddlers right now and 5 toddlers. And 2 babies. And then we're looking to grow that by 4 more infants.
we've got 3 definitely confirmed going to the preschool. We know of 4 babies that are in the pipeline, and we do have an off-island family who comes to work here that is interested in enrolling their infant as well if possible, so.
So how many infants do? I was just doing this year's numbers, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Right now,
Right now, what do
technically,
you have?
our youngest is, my son, who's 14 months,
Does that count as an infant?
technically,
Okay.
yes. Yeah,
So you have 1 infant right now?
2. Yes,
So you have 6 kids in the school right now?
9.
9. Sorry, we have 1 pre-K.
One
I'm
pre-K?
going by age, sorry. We have technically 3 in the big classroom, 4 in the little classroom, and 2 babies.
Okay.
I was going by age, not classroom.
I was going off of what you guys gave us in 2025.
Sorry.
You guys initially asked for the big increase and it was just broken down by pre-K, toddler, infant, and so I was just sticking with that.
Sorry, yes, we moved kids around because we have such a younger age group that we have our like 2s and 3, 4 all in one room, and then we've got the like walking more fragile baby children in the other room to avoid getting hurt. And so that's how we kind of break it up.
Gotcha. How many toddlers are you expecting next year?
1.
And So would that be in addition to or total? I'm just looking for total numbers.
Total 3. Yes.
Thank you. How many infants?
4.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
1 pre-K.
Would it be 5 infants? Those already, and then 3 babies.
They're multiplying.
Sorry, I can get them.
I like it. I like baby numbers. I'm
It
just-
would be 4 under 1
Okay,
this coming year,
okay.
before December.
And then 1 in the pipeline going to the big school.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions on preschool?
I can get you a sheet if that's helpful, because I'm getting turned around
You're good.
with how I categorize them, if that's more helpful to everyone.
For Jeff, one question, I asked last year, and honestly, I think I've just kind of forgotten to explain it. The insurance subsidy that we
Yeah.
offer, how does this work? I'm just looking, like, we've budgeted 12 and 24,
Mhm.
we budgeted 24 and 25, but you only spent 16.7 and 25. 26, we budgeted 25 again, this year we were only up to 16,250 that is remaining.
Oh, yes, I can explain that.
Yeah,
So
how does this
we,
work?
when we came to the town, we had asked for enough to subsidize the salaries of 4 full-time employees with a health insurance subsidy. Right now, we only had 3 technically full-time employees, and we had some people working part-time, which equaled that 4th person. But we weren't giving them the subsidy, because they weren't technically full-time. With the infants coming in, we're looking to raise one of our part-time staff up to full-time. So this coming year, we'd have 4 full-time people getting the healthcare subsidy, so then it would be the full, like 24, 25
And
for
that's,
insurance.
25.
and you do that because you don't offer them insurance packages on the. Okay.
Something we'd love to do, but
Is there anything, just because I'm intrigued by this system, I mean, I've never experienced, interacted with it in my life. Is there anything that it's sort of that ensures that money does in fact get spent on insurance? Or is it kind of just like, we can't give you insurance or the check, here's.
That's essentially what it is. We looked into like HSAs, and then, forgive me for forgetting, the Boardman Cottage does something where like they give money and you produce a receipt, I think, to them. I
Right,
talked to Maura about it. And that was a lot of back and forth.
Self-insuring?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, no, that's
I'm
a
not good at
mistake.
insurance.
That's what Waldo County is doing right now, and that's why
Yeah.
they're in so much trouble.
Yeah, so we just went to kind of like hope this helps. I know personally it's helped a lot being able to have that, especially just not having
Right.
insurance.
Yeah, no,
So
of
that's
course.
been really nice to have, but
If it helps pay for the insurance, it's great.
yeah, it's just been really
I
nice.
was a little bit hung up on that sort of
It's,
blank check.
it's a lot.
You know?
Yeah.
It's for insurance, that's fantastic, and I would never say a word about it, but if there's nothing to ensure that it's going to insurance, then I'm immediately a little red flaggy, but. Thank you, that's all. I was.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're trying to find a better solution for that. We'd love to offer our staff insurance, not like ask the town for that, but find our own way to make that happen for our staff.
Cool. Any other questions on related?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. If you guys need any clarification, just email me and I can shoot it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right, so 41.6 line item is unchanged from last year, and actually 41.7 and 41.9 are all the same as last year. There's no increases there.
Yeah, unless, the Board of Appeals, unless they feel like, they may not have, any problems this year, I just plugged in again some money for a legal consultant, you know, that was the first time they've had legal, expenses in quite a while, so that's another area that could be. But I think Patrick just said keep it the same, but that's something that could be discussed.
All right, next up is public safety, specifically fire. Or do you want to present?
I can.
You don't have to.
On the fire department budget, every year Janet and I meet together and go through it, and this particular year, nothing horribly different, just a small little tweak in here and there. You might see comparison reduction from last fiscal year. That's because of the post testing, which we did complete. That's what jumped up the overall amount. But there's nothing drastic here. Payroll side, we're holding the numbers. And what's gonna change the beginning of the new fiscal year? In hourly rates for firefighters, we're currently paying for fire calls $24 an hour. I'm gonna increase it to 28 per hour. Meetings and training pay has been 15. It's gonna up to 20 an hour. And the weekend coverage currently paying $1.50, $1.50 per hour. I'll push that to $2 an hour. And it's the weekend coverage. The slot is slated for sign up for 4 firefighters each weekend. They pick and choose how much they want to contribute to it. What made all of these increases is what's happening with minimum wage. Minimum wage is what I use the figure to pay junior firefighters that start on the department. They don't get the regular pension. They're under 18, they get the minimum wage. And I think that's somewhere in the neighborhood of $15.10 an hour, if I'm correct.
Remain?
Remain.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
So why I had to increase a little bit is that minimum wage was competitive with our meeting and trainings for regular fire budget. So I had to up them to stay away from that minimum wage because they're all more skill leveled. So that's the only rationale there. Everything else, basically, the budget is held pretty good. On a more personal note, I'd like to thank the board for the support and the continuing effort and the renovation plans. The new office spaces are wonderful. I can actually see the parking lot now. As well as Fred and Carrie all are just thrilled. Also support and thanks for the continuing construction of the Up Island Station. That's forthcoming and still happening, so thank the board for supporting that. Any other questions?
I've just one question. It looks, the increases that you said, I'm assuming that those would kind of hit on the on-call pay, the run pay and the training pay.
Right.
But it looks like that hasn't, it's not suggested to have an increase this year. You feel like you can still do those increases within the existing size of the budget. Is that just
Yeah.
confirming? Okay.
I could. You mean to initiate those pay rate changes? In the current,
She's asking, can you make those pay rate increases, while still sticking to the same numbers, as last year? Because you didn't ask for an increase in these line
Right.
items.
well, Jen thought that there's. We think we can make it work, we gotta see what happens. Cause you never know how many calls to estimate that, it's kind of how busy things are. And the number of fire calls, we stay in that 50 calls per year range. That really doesn't go crazy or wild. And the current year, we're still got some balance left. So you seem to think we're still gonna be safe.
Great, okay. Any other questions for her? Great. Thank you, Mert.
I think that, it's not necessarily a question for Mert, but I think that for the on-call pay. If we look at 24, it was 11,000 when we budgeted 7, 25, it was 10 when we've been budgeting 7. I think that we need to make a note in there that we might want to take that one up at least 1,000.
Well, if you look at the run pay and the training pay added into it, they all add up to about $27,000 each year, which we budgeted for those 3 lines. We might just need to shift the numbers around.
Okay,
So
So-
maybe put 10,000 in the on-call pay, and maybe, you know, the one we spend less out of, which usually seems to be training pay, we make that one 7,000
Okay.
or something. We're still dealing with the same numbers. Yeah.
as long as the 3 of them can be.
Yeah.
Used for the things that, I just want to make sure that we were in ballpark with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yep. And yeah, like Mert mentioned, the major decrease was the lack of host testing this year. So, next up is Fred, and it looks like he's ready to go.
I am. Good evening. This year, I'll give you a quick overview on the public safety budget. I flatlined everything again in an attempt to keep our budget down so that we're contributing towards keeping the mill rate down and keeping the taxes down for the taxpayers. We do have to factor in cost of living raises for, the administrative staff, which is me and Carrie and Mert. But Mert had his own line there. So we just did cost of living for that. And the only other place that we had an increase, I think it was $6,000, was under patrol, which if you go down to patrol reserve officer, we have 2 officers. It says Eric's name in there, but we have 2 officers. We have Evan Jones out of Hollowell, and we have Eric Bonney out of Searsport. They work for Searsport and Hollowell Police Departments. We're very lucky to get them. The great thing was I didn't have to go look for them. They signed up. It is a combined new facility, and having the right kind of facilities now to be able to make sure that our stuff is ready for court by being preserved in a good evidence room, a good processing room, and now we can conduct our interviews in a private room, which I've told you about that through the years. This is becoming attractive now. And that's what we want. You got a few more years of me, and you're gonna wanna have somebody go in behind me because your best value is gonna be having your law enforcement right here. Because Vinyl Haven, I think, is getting $300,000 right now. They're paying the sheriff's department to contract out there. And they have ongoing complications of trying to get them to be there. So your best bet is having your own people do it out here. One of these guys that I'm bringing on has just graduated from the full-time academy, and he's young, he's very smart, and I'm hoping we can hang on to him if you kind of know what I'm going with. We want young talent. So anyways, the only place that we increased, and I believe it was $6,000, was on the patrol budget. We put, what was it, 28? We moved 28 forward this year from last year. I gotta be honest here, I can't even remember doing that, but
I did that. That was,
You-
we moved 14 that we didn't use the previous year to add to the
Okay.
14 that we
Yep,
asked.
God
for.
loves you.
Would that from your grant still remind me?
No,
Okay.
no,
That
no,
was
that's a
not-
different
no,
thing.
That was just leftover budget money that.
Yeah.
That we planned to use, didn't end up getting used, so we carried it forward so that. it would-
So what it looks like right now is that, one of the days that I'm off every week, which is Monday, that's a day that the school's open. And that's my biggest concern, is not having somebody around when the school's open. We'll have somebody every Monday, and it'll go right through till, as long as we can keep him, so, I'm pretty excited about that. Eric has worked here before, he's been in law enforcement for 30 years. He's very knowledgeable, we've had him out here before, he had retired because of a bad hip. Got a hip replacement, now he's Mighty Mouse and he's back, so. We're glad to have Eric, he knows the island well, and he knows a lot of people on the island, so I feel really good about that. Other than that, the cost of living raises and the 6,000 to bring that payroll up to 20,000. These guys get paid a different pay scale than what our other officers used to get. Our other officers used to get $20 an hour or something. We're having to pay our guys, and it's attracting too. We're paying them $40 an hour if they're experienced. And if they're not experienced, we have to train them, then it's 20 to 25, and then they move up as they go along. So we're becoming attractive again, which is what we want. What you do later is up to you, but I know right now we need help, and you guys are always asking me, do you have any help coming over? And this time I can say we do. And they're starting this month, so they're starting this month. Other than that, I flatlined everything. I didn't cut anything out. Me and Janet looked at it pretty close, and you know, by the end of the year, we've always gone over on one line or another. You know, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you know, doing whatever you can to get through, but it's always been important to me not to put a big burden on the taxpayer, and I feel good when we do this every year because that's our contribution to doing it. Other than that, now, if you have any questions, I'll answer anything you ask me, I promise. I'll be short-winded.
Any questions?
I don't.
No, I just wanna say to Mert and you know, we really appreciate last year's efforts and everything you did, and you know, it's a tricky period we're in, so.
We all live out here, you know, we're trying to
It's
make
good
it.
that we've got additional help coming on, and
Mm.
I'm glad we're positioned for a good year, so
Yep.
thank you both.
So-
For the future, the people that you're grooming to take over, will they then live on Islesboro?
No, they'll be staying, Evan will be working just day shift on Monday. So he won't be using the apartment upstairs until we get to June, so if it's available in June, he'll stay over and he'll be on call the whole night and maybe the next day. He works a Tuesday through Saturday shift with Hollowell. So his time is a little limited. Eric will be staying upstairs on Saturdays, we're starting to pencil him in now. Because when he's over, he works, sometimes he'll work a 16-hour shift, sometimes he'll work a 10-hour shift and take another 14 and on call, because we pay them $10 an hour to be on call when they're not patrolling. So we have that round the clock coverage. So that's kind of how that works. If they was to come out and do more, they would probably have to find housing. You know, that's gonna be something that eventually everybody's gonna have to talk about, but hopefully that won't be for a little bit, but we do have to plan for all this stuff. The other thing that I had was the ambulance budget.
44?
Yep, 44. There was no increases on that except for, I don't even think there was any cost of living increases on that because they're all they're on call paid. So the one thing I did do without increasing the budget was I talked with Janet and we decided to pop the on-call pay up another $1 an hour for the 14 shift people that really are the meat and potatoes of our daily operations. They're going up to $4 an hour. The paid on-call EMTs on the mainland are at $5 an hour. So eventually I'd like to get up to $5 an hour and we might be able to do it next year. It fluctuates because of how much staff I have. If I'm down on staff, like this winter, I've been down on staff because some people leave to go south for the winter or go back to where they're from. And so a lot of us end up carrying the weight. So what I usually do during the winter is I try to carry one provider on during the day and one driver on during the day. And because we have 2 slots for each 12-hour shift, that keeps us down on-call and it doesn't stretch our system. Nighttime, I try to have 2 on the night shifts and a driver because that's when nobody's around. We do have the per diem rate. I gotta make a correction on that one. That's the paramedic one. We stopped using paramedic solely about 2 years ago. Cause it's hard to get them, first of all, and it's a different thing to deal with. So what we did was we took the per diem rate and we're applying that to advanced EMTs now. So they can do quite a bit. As a matter of fact, North Haven, Vinyl Haven, Swans Island, and Islesboro are all capped out at the advanced EMT level, and none of them have paramedics. Because we have the blessing of being able to call in the health center people. That money for paramedics now is up.
Yeah.
Up. And so we're kind of doing a good thing. When they're on per diem, they're at the station on Saturdays and then Saturdays and Sundays during the, it's a big help to me because they do all the inventories of the trucks, the cabinets, all the medical supplies. They do QA/QI for all the run reports and they help me out quite a bit. So it's nice having them. I'm really excited to say that 2 of the young ladies on the ambulance, 2 of the younger ladies on the ambulance are interested in moving up to advanced EMT. So this raises your skill level of your younger people that are on the service. So we're pretty excited about that, because that's gonna give you a more trained workforce moving into the future. But we did that without trying to get an increase. And I was able to give the drivers who really did need a little bit of a bump in their on-call pay, was able to give them a little bit. Eventually, we're gonna have to sit down and we're gonna have to have a conversation about how we're gonna staff. If we keep getting people joining, we'll be in good shape. But to say that if it's not broke, don't fix it, someday we might have to fix it. And it's not a bad idea now to start looking at, down the road. I revamp our policies, I revamp our guidelines all the time to meet today's requirements. So you have to do that with your people too. You have to train them in that.
Fred, you had mentioned maybe needing to revise that paramedics line. Do you know what you would recommend changing it?
We have 2 sources of funding. We have the budget, which I don't believe we touched at all. We didn't touch the budget. We kept that the way it was. And then we have the EMS sustainability grant, which I apply for every year. That's the money that the state had put aside to help ambulance and training centers out. And it ain't really working all that great for the training centers, but it's really helping the ambulance services. And they're doing a lot like what we're doing. They're either buying equipment with it or they're putting per diem shifts on their worst time of the day when it's hard to staff. And it's really coming in. What we receive in funds for the sustainability grant is right around $15,000. So when you put the $15,000 with the amount that we already have in our per diem, that almost secures somebody's at the station Saturday and Sunday year round now. So we're in a pretty good spot with that.
Gotcha.
I think that's great. Anybody have any questions? I'll shut up, I promise.
Thank you, and thank you, Mert. You
Thank you,
guys
Fred.
provide essential services and really appreciate how fiscally responsible you are this time of year.
We're in pretty good
All year,
position.
all year, but yeah.
Fred, Fred, are you still, is he in charge of 44-2 Health and Welfare General Assistance for the ferry routes? Is
That's,
that ambulance?
well, it falls under us, but it's more Janet
Those
than
are
the
emergency ferry
administrative
runs in the middle
for.
of the night.
Right,
Yeah.
so that's,
Janet can answer
okay,
those
so
questions.
you don't do those seven.
Yeah, I don't do the book work on that end of it.
Okay, just wanna make sure before I,
I prep for billing and that's all I do.
I did want to point out, the only line item in 44-1 that did go up is ferry fares, for obvious reasons. 44-2 is gonna be mostly the same, so emergency ferry runs went from $1,000 to $1,400 per run. So anytime there's an emergency in the middle of the night, we gotta wake up the ferry crew, they now charge the town $1,400 per run. So that seriously needed to come up, because, well, we're already $20,000 in the hole this year. On that particular line item,
But I did just transfer money from capital reserve
right?
to cover that overage and.
Yep.
Hoping to balance whatever comes at the end of the year, we'll take the rest of it
Yep.
out. That's why under capital reserve, I'm putting that up again.
Yep.
To build it up.
So anyways, yeah, that's where that's why that amount is going up, just because, price went up 40%. And we're getting killed on those emergency ferry runs right now. 44-3 is where the health center subsidy would be if we had it. We don't yet. We will return to that.
Do we have, I'm just looking at the calendar, do we have the time for the health center to?
I didn't put it on there on the calendar yet because I don't know when.
Okay.
So, I'm thinking it probably, if things work out well with us tomorrow, I mean, I think it could be on the 11th, then I'll just send out a revise. I didn't want to put it on there and everybody excited and then disappointed.
So one question, Brian,
Yeah.
on the $1,400 per emergency trip,
Yes.
is the state, the ferry service contributing to that at all?
No, they're the ones charging us.
And that is,
If you want to wake up the ferry crew and take a trip in the middle of the night, that's what it costs.
I see,
Yeah.
but in terms of the
It's like
equipment
50.
or the fuel, or that's all included in the 1,400?
Well, there's no separate billing for any of that stuff, if that's what you're asking. No, it's basically just however many emergency trips we take, they send us the invoice.
And it's the same amount.
Well, it's going
For
up,
now.
but
Yeah.
it's the same amount per run, yes.
And our billing company, the ambulance billing company does submit that to people's insurance, but we've never had one. pay.
Yeah, insurance does not pay for that. They will not.
They do it every time they submit it.
So the ferry service has raised the tariffs on the regular runs consistently, and I just wondered, is that reflected in this? I mean, our costs for this have gone up similar.
They have, but they don't go up incrementally with the normal ferry tickets. This increase just came out in the last 8 months, something like that.
Last tariff.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, that should be, it is listed in the tariff, so if it was outside the tariff, we should know about it.
It's in the tariff.
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, it was $1,000 for years, and it no longer is. It's 40% more now.
And that mutual aid Northeast, you didn't mention this, but I will. That's the fee that we are charged when Northeast Ambulance meets an ambulance, our ambulance in Lincolnville
Right.
takes the patient all the way. And they only bill us twice a year. That's why there's $8,000 in there. We didn't have that many runs maybe with this.
They sent us an $8,000 bill one year, didn't they, Janet?
Well, there was a surprise. No.
that was 2 years ago.
Anything else on health?
Keep it.
All right,
You want Public Works?
let's do it.
45. Oh, you got it. Got it. All right, 45-1, 25-35 Acre Island, they need a snow plow. So we raised our normal budget amount from 8,000 to 30, cause we pay to cover, we pay to maintain those roads.
And they're hoping that they can find, and I think Dana Emery will try and find a truck. But they'd like one that maybe they could also use for public works to put the gravel in and take around to work on the road, so we'll see what they can. But I said, you know, I'm thinking 20,000, he said that would be great, so we'll see if they can find something. But they'll have to come up with the rest of it on their own, but they don't ask for much.
The other line item going up 3711 is roadside mowing going up slightly, cover increased fuel costs and things like that. 45-2, personnel, cost of living adjustment. We also added 1036. We are hoping to get a third public works laborer. Jordy and Tom are stretched thin, to be perfectly honest, and people come to them for literally everything.
And we're hoping if this works out, that this could be worked in with this facilities person, maybe for town facilities. I'm thinking maybe Tom would be good, geared well for that, not taking all his time, but he could leave and do something without.
Without jeopardizing public works' works.
Yeah, or leaving Jordy shorthanded or, you know, trying to do something on the side of the road or.
So, yeah, go ahead.
So where in 45-1 do we, or where in this do we figure out the cost to either hire the equipment and the guys to do the cut back on all the trees? I know I bring this up every other week. Or-
That's coming.
In a
You mean the
different.
excavator?
Okay.
It's all still under public works.
Yep,
You mean the
that
excavator?
line item specifically, I believe, is in capital reserves.
Yeah. And it can come over here,
But yeah,
but
we're definitely gonna address that, because that is one of the things that we wanna do. And having a third public works person would also help with traffic control when, you know, if we have this piece of equipment.
Yeah.
You know, then they can do their own traffic control, use the equipment and get on their way, so. Other than that, supplies budget, I'm sorry, I'm in 45-2 now. Supplies budget coming down slightly. And Ferry Fair's budget also coming down slightly for them, just because we're trying to be more
keep them in
efficient,
town.
be more efficient with their ferry trips. Let's see, snow removal is also in 45-2. Again, we don't have that figure as of yet, so that's not there.
45-3.
Yes, I'm sorry, 45-3, snow removal. The only other line item that's changed in there is 25-21 cutting edges, because we do buy all the cutting edges for the plow contract. And the cost of those is coming up.
So on the snow removal budget, is the same people doing the sanding and the salting?
Yes.
It will be whoever,
It's all in,
it's in the
but
contract.
it's here, they're pulled out.
If we have
Well,
to pay
we-
for the supplies.
We buy the sand and the salt.
Yes.
Yeah, we buy the sand and the salt.
So their cost is just distributing it.
Correct.
Fuel, vehicle maintenance, paying staff, stuff like that. Yeah.
If we're not getting
Liability
winter
insurance.
sand, we're getting summer gravel, it's like.
Yeah, it's either one or the other that's coming in. All right, any questions on any public works that we've gone over so far? Yes,
Going back to 45-2,
yes.
1014 went up cost of living raise. 1015 is $7,000. Under 45-2, the foreman and the laborer.
That's because Tom is getting paid for, facilities manager in addition to public works.
I don't know if the rest of the board would prefer it. I think that needs to be a separate line.
Yeah, I don't think I'm paying for him out of this line. I haven't paid him anything really for facilities manager. I don't think he's put it on his time card yet, has he?
Not that I've
Technically
noticed.
anything? Yeah.
But just in general, if we keep the facility manager position, I think that that's however much money we're putting into that, however much we said that we're gonna put aside for it, needs to be a separate line item.
Okay.
Just
If
just
will.
solely for if Tom leaves, I don't want the next person to be able to go through the budget, like me and you are book nerds. And we can be like, why am I getting hired on at 42 when I'm doing the same work that he was making 60 for, you know?
Error.
You are a nerd, you're my nerd, and it's okay, but if we're gonna have different positions.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it can be easily explained why it is the way it is, but, I see your point.
Yeah, and I also don't want somebody looking at this on their computer at home and being like, well, the laborer is making more money than the foreman.
Yeah, which,
It's all about perception, and just to be transparent with it, if we could do that, I would appreciate it, if the board agrees.
makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I think that 60 is wrong. I'm looking back at my. For Tom, it should be 55,194.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say on the building facilities manager, to me, it's less of a, I think it would be, I feel like it's a little bit of a like job description issue more than it is, like, before we start talking about the pay for the position, to me, it is, whether you're talking about a facilities management work or whether you're talking about public works work, it's all work that needs to be done in order to maintain the town. And so I guess really what I feel like would be helpful for us to understand is how many FTEs do we need in order to accomplish the things that need doing inside and outside? And then we can start to talk about, okay, how many people do we have? How much additional time is needed to accomplish those things? And then how do we need a budget for it, rather than kind of starting with the like, oh, well, here's, you know, what we need to pay for facilities stuff versus.
And are we still waiting on somebody to come out and,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
do we,
194, thank you.
is there a time? Is there a time frame for that at all?
He was looking at his schedule and I think I didn't set me a time and said it would be in the spring.
Already, yeah.
Because if we're gonna wait on, if we wanna wait on that, figure out what our needs really are, then that'll be back what you're talking about. You know,
The energy committee, I think you all probably received from Harriet, she would recommend, or they recommend. Building manager for all the facilities, so. Yes, and again, I was thinking about paying for that, not. Well, it depends if we have the three, and if Tom is able to do. Cause he's been trained on things, for building over there, cause, you know, so, not that someone else couldn't be, but it wouldn't be just there, you know, they just.
To get treated kind of as a public works
I know.
need, so.
And I just read in something that Rockland has just, for the first time ever, hired someone to be a public facilities manager who was a former policeman, I think. Rockland just has one, so I don't think we're doing too bad.
Yeah.
We have a lot more facilities than we do.
Can I ask about the snow removal stuff for just a minute? I know we will learn more when we have the round of bidding, but I do just wanna make sure that we, as a board, can have a discussion about understanding the cost, of changing the structure and how other towns do it and what that general cost is, just so that we have something to compare any bids next to. I mean, I know that we have done, we have contracted it out for a long time, and I think there's a lot of good reasons for doing that, but I know Vinyl Haven has it as part of their public works. Did you hear from North Haven?
I have not heard back from her, but in Vinyl Haven, they have 5 people in the public works, so got a big crowd.
Yeah.
And I think they've had it for quite a while.
Yeah.
The snow plow. I'm trying to hear back from Samantha Mank in Hope. Because they used to contract with Farley, and then the last bid for Farley was too high, so that's when, a couple years ago, then they went and bought their own. I haven't connected with her to see how that's going, and I think Lincolnville uses Farley. They don't have a public works at all. Camden is public works,
Northport didn't get a bid this year.
didn't put out a bid.
They didn't receive one. They put
They
out their
didn't.
their things.
Yeah.
I was talking to their administrator, trying to figure it out too. And they're doing the same thing that we are, is pricing out. That way they're looking to do it in-house also.
I did talk with Peter Coons, and Josh Leach came to me after that last meeting and said he'd be willing to help us look at, what we might need based on the, he thought that what we had on that list, the snow plow contract was good, the different sizes. But, again, pricing out buying a vehicle, it's a game of chance. You don't know what it's gonna cost or what you're gonna get for it. To buy new, it seems crazy, but you're buying it used, plus it's not too old and you're buying someone else's problems.
Right.
But we are, so,
Yeah, I mean, I know that the Island of Shabig does it has a public works, they're very similar size to us.
yeah, that's what Marjorie
And Long Island said that they currently use a contractor, but have considered starting to switch, but they're, a third of our size. So I just want to make sure that we have a plan for developing something so that we can have an informed discussion when we get to bid opening time.
Yeah, I think, and that would take. Yeah, I think it would be separate people than our public works, because they could not be out plowing all hours.
Right, no, that would need to be part of the structure, is how many people would we need? I mean, I would think that they probably would need some kind of stipend, or guaranteed, I don't know how it works. But I think, I just wanna make sure that somebody is, like, are you working on it, or are you finding somebody to work on it so that we
Yeah, I've
have the
asked
information
Dave,
we
but I've
need?
also asked Peter and Josh to get together, so that will be the next thing. Could they get together with Dave maybe and just think about what vehicles, and Josh would be good probably looking for vehicles for a price.
So you think we'll have something by the 18th to,
I think so.
okay,
It was sort of anecdote. Fellows here at the last meeting, they were quite, the amount of their bid, they justified because they had to go out and buy all this equipment. That's what he said. So,
But I don't think we should be in a rush. I mean, it seems to me like we need to define what Dave's doing as far as, we want an evaluate, it sounds like the equipment, we understand what we want, so we need to look at new, we need to look at used. Do we wanna buy that ourselves? I mean, before we think about reissuing a bid on this, I just
it's
think,
been reissued.
It's already been
Yeah.
reissued.
So it's about comparing a structure for, if we were to bring it in-house.
well, okay, then I guess I'm behind on that, because issuing a bid when we have, I mean, I listened to good points the other week, like, should we be buying the equipment ourselves? And getting the contractor just for the FTEs versus, investing all this money into someone, and in 3 or 5 years, they take the equipment and we've got a bid out. That just, I didn't realize we were doing it that fast. I feel like the bids was maybe premature, but maybe I'm behind in the thing, so I'll have to hear.
I apologize. When we were talking about it, we were talking about how there was an urgency to go ahead and get it back out because we are in this bid cycle or in the budget cycle. And our budget's due at the end of this month. So if we need to figure out, are we budgeting in 2 million for 5 years, or are we budgeting in X amount? But that way it is more of a condensed cycle because of where we are in the current planning with our, we have to have a number to take to the town in less than 6 weeks, right?
And I guess when you get the next bids, hopefully there may be two. Then you can reassess it again, and if they're still both really high, you know, just.
And then we'll have that.
Well, I just wanna make sure that we have
Yeah.
an educated, ballpark for what we think the town could do it for if, you know, so that we can have an informed discussion.
So doesn't that address your question?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah. I'll just leave it at that.
Alright.
Jen, could you, I'm just curious if, and I don't wanna derail this into a plowing conversation, but it does tie into the cost of it at the end of the day. Reading through our request for bid, where we talk about how, you know, basically a DOT rated full size road plow. Have we ever discussed whether we want to eliminate that requirement? Because if you eliminate the big orange truck that Babe drives, if you eliminate that as a requirement and you open the door up to like 1 ton and 1.5 tons with larger plows fitted on them.
I think they can't have the wing, which is important
But
to,
yeah,
that's what I've been told. Even Josh was saying, you know, to get the road,
Yeah,
the road narrows
The wing
down.
is what clears everything
Right,
off
yeah.
the road.
I don't think you can put wings on smaller. This is what I've been told.
My MG could put that.
There you go.
well, it just seems, I'm just worried when we have to start thinking about like accepting the lesser quality plow job in order to make sure that we get some semblance of plowing done in the first place. And whether we're putting out this bid because we have to have these plows with wings, or do we do it because it's nice to have the plows with wings? And I know that's weird coming from someone who asks about plowing stuff a lot, but if it means saving the, you know, if it means getting us plowed in some way, you know, I'm just wondering if we've looked into just reducing what we ask for.
I'm just worried, I mean, the thing of it is, it's a dangerous game because if you don't push it back far enough and you get a winter like this, all of a sudden you've got real safety concerns that I think
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
That road will start narrowing.
But
I
again,
just
Peter
worry that if we
Josh-
find ourselves in a situation where we turn down every bid because they're all almost $2 million. And then we don't even have that. Yeah, like I've had people express interest to me about getting involved in this, but they just simply don't have these huge pieces of equipment. And I don't know that we're ever gonna find anyone other than has that ready to go.
Right, well, I think that's where we need to do some due diligence about
So
how we can.
Well, that was my.
so aside from just finances, I'm wondering also like what kind of equipment is used versus just the annual cost to these towns, is kind of what I'm saying.
And then if you buy your own, someone's gonna maintain it.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a mechanic. And Jordy is good at tinkering, like he says. He doesn't know about diesel, so he wouldn't be very.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it would be a nightmare if the town took it on, but I understand. The whole,
Right, no, it would be, we
Dilemma.
would need to factor in the cost of maintenance and factor in the cost of us not doing that
but
maintenance.
then it's finding someone to do the maintenance. I mean, it's not like we're on the mainland, someone can run over here and fix the part in the middle of the.
Having that mechanic is the most crucial part of that contract. Because there was Cliff in the past, and then there was Josh Linscott. And if you don't have that mechanic that's available to you like Josh was to Base, that puts you in a very difficult situation. So that's, you know, along with people bidding for this, they've also got to factor in who would be their mechanic, because they have to be able to repair the trucks.
Yep.
In a certain time to get them back up and running, especially if it's a sander or something.
But I'll talk with Peter, and I have spoken to both of them, I just need them to get together and I'll get Dave to finish them.
Any other questions before we go into 45-4? Nope.
Going
Excellent.
once, going twice.
All right, not a lot of changes in 45-4 either. Ask for the airport is going way down. What did we do with them last year? That we
did the cracks.
Crack sealing, that was it, yeah, so that's going back down because we're not doing crack sealing again.
No.
And the tennis and ball field, maintenance on that, we're asking for a little bit less this year as well. As well as a slight increase on the maintenance for the, solar panels on the salt shed building.
Correct, they all have to have, and I haven't received anything about the new solar panels on the health center. Or library solar panel, what? The information on those, but I would assume, and maybe, I don't know how much is in here for the library. Maybe enough to cover that, but. Since we own.
Library's got a much.
We
better
own
budget.
them all now, we own everything. Before it was Revision or this other Blue Haven doing the maintenance. Since we own them now, we have to.
Gotta pay for all maintenance.
Yeah.
Boo.
Boo.
Any questions on 45-4?
And I've added to North Fire Station 10,000,
Yes.
not knowing. And if you wanna cut that, that's fine. And I put it in, I had 10 again in the health center. We have things that we'll be paying for that haven't been billed yet for some, maintenance issues. If they're doing anything, there's a couple of changes that they may be making with doorknobs or something, that this is where it will come out of versus it's not considered part of the build anymore.
Right.
And the amount remaining, is that, what date is that through?
This was prepared February, end of February, I believe, so I think it'd be through February-ish. Probably beginning of February, if I had to guess, around there.
Oh, yeah, the health center building, like this might, Brian just printed this out for me today. So currently there's $5,400 left in that.
All right, and then going on to 45-8, the Energy Committee is asking for slightly less than they did in previous years. Though they do have quite a bit of prize money left over still as well, but I mean, if you've all noticed, you know, the new panels on the library, the panels on the health center, they're getting started right now with the full ground array for the health center as well. So they're just getting started on that project. Now that money is not gonna come from here. That money is gonna come from the bond money that we already have. So, you know, that amount is not even in the budget. It's grant money, basically.
I don't know if anybody's interested. We do have a letter from Harriet, about that says that the 70,000 that they're asking for is to do solar on the salt shed, up island garage, and the land array near the garage as possible sites.
Oh, I didn't know they were doing it on the Up Island garage. That's cool.
Because the existing arrays only cover 50% of the town's usage. Long-term town recoups not only the cost of the arrays, but another $200 for every $100 spent. And we can still take advantage of the tax credits if we do it before December 2027. That's the high and low of what I read off of that. Oh, and it's also including their island fellow, which is 7,500.
Bye.
Thanks. for reading that.
I happen to still just have it on in.
She might be on the.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be helpful to understand sort of what the long-term trajectory is for this is, you know, we're investing a lot of money and it's great. I mean, I think it is smart return on investment. But it also would be helpful to understand, how long they anticipate going to this level, staying at this level or.
I think the idea is as long as the town is willing to keep giving them money to do these projects that do benefit the town, they're gonna keep doing it, because that's what they do. That's
I
their,
know the health center needs more solar
They do.
power.
yeah, but that's not
To
coming
help
out,
their-
that's not coming out of budget. Yeah, the health center's power bills are
And it's been hard this winter with the snow on the panels, but there's.
Their sheds much easier than ours do.
Correct.
That finishes up public works. Anybody got any questions?
Oh. I think I might have skipped over it and I might just be hallucinating. The narrow stabilization project for $200,000 was way back in public works somewhere that I got confused on.
45-1.
37-15. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, this is for the middle narrows, we're affecting the ring, below the ring, the middle narrows. And this is in case in case it doesn't get done before June with some money that we might have, and if I get plan back from, I don't want anything elaborate for up there, we kind of just wanted this to be,
That was
Just so,
that
yes,
was my
yes,
question.
so there
Is
has
this
been
part of the
coordination
sea level?
between the Sea Level
Okay.
Rise Committee and Janet on this. And discussion that, you know, Janet as road commissioner is kind of in charge of that, the immediate road needs, but recognizing, I mean, right now, the project to raise the road 4 feet and do the much larger revetments is like a $6 million project. That's unlikely to move forward until we receive significant federal funds to make it financially viable, and in the meantime, we really need to shore up the middle narrows to make sure that it doesn't wash out again, so
Okay.
that's.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to.
Yeah, and there's been coordination there, the engineering firms are aware, you know, are kind of working in concert, so all of that is coordinated and,
did you just get an email from Sheree? That confused me, but she was talking about something else. But it was the south narrows.
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk offline about that, but they're gonna come up with basically the engineering group is gonna develop a proposal in the same way that Gartley and Dorsey is doing for the middle.
And I did email Bill Lane to see, I haven't heard back from him yet, but I will follow up with him tomorrow to see if there's any. Cause I was reading that and I thought, oh, this is not what that is, so, but it wasn't.
I have one quick one, I think, and I shouldn't question anything that's dropping in money, of course, but on 45-4-55-17, which is ball field and tennis. We went from 1,024 to 1,650, the annual budget 25, of which we spent 3,400. The next year, we asked for 18,1, we have so far spent 96. This year, we're asking for 15. Is there any way that number? Do we expect to hit 15? I was wondering, seems like we're off, we have been off by like.
We'll be
over
spending,
$10,000
we'll
a
be
year.
spending that 9,600 in the spring when the field
They do
gets
the
taken
fertilizer
care of,
again.
that annual,
Or aeration.
which I think
whatever else
that's
they do.
about $16,000 a year.
Does that happen every year?
Yep. I think
How did we do it?
Zach had maybe it might have been a 5-year plan to, and we have money in capital reserve also
Yeah, capital reserves.
to help with that, but.
Okay.
That's why capital reserves are fun.
Has the school ever discussed helping us with this goal? I mean, it all comes from the.
Because didn't we actually take that from the school?
Yeah,
I think it was
what?
I just,
Is
we
that
had,
wrong?
this feels like.
The
this
the
is a
maintenance
sort
of
of-
the soccer field,
Well,
or
Yeah.
is that something we took on because we're having to use it or something?
It became a back and forth, but to quote the former Gabe Pendleton, it's all the same purse strings anyways, and so at one point, we made the decision that we wanted to have it in ours so that the school couldn't jack up their budget with it.
we'll
And
get
so-
a farm budget.
Yeah, but just,
So
cause
it's 20,
they never did anything when they budgeted for it 2 years in a
That
row,
was-
and
that
it didn't
was
get
it too.
done,
Yeah.
and so then it came back to
Yeah.
us, that way you guys could work with the
Yeah, something.
rec and school as a collaboration, but we would hold the money, they make the plan, we pay the money through. So now it is.
so
only up to us.
15. Okay, so that's as reasonable as we are thinking it needs to be. I would, because we've expended everything in capital reserve that we were spending in those previous years. So we spent 15,000 on capital reserve. And you see what I'm,
Mhm.
so I'm just trying to track this down, it's still like, all right, 25 budget was 16,150, right?
Mhm.
25 actual was $3,400. So that indicates that there's what, $12,000 over budgeted value. And then for 26, we put 18,150. We have 9,600 of that left, so we've only spent about 10,000 of it.
Right,
And now this year we're asking for 15,000.
Correct, but
So-
we expect to spend that 9,600 before the fiscal year is over.
Where is the?
No, I see what you're saying. We were over
It
budget,
just-
underspending previously.
Right.
But we do believe that we've caught up to kind of what it should cost and what it will cost moving forward.
Alright. Well, I didn't say it was less than it was last year, so like, I
Yeah.
can't really complain, but
and part of that, Pete, with the ones in 24 and 25 is still when we were going back and forth with the school about it too. And so it might have been in their budget for a chunk of it. And then coming back, but, cause this is a recent development
The parents.
that it's been bouncing back and forth of, but, and then. I still like Gabe's line, it's all the same first strings, but let's have it where we can see it.
Thanks to Zach for,
Yeah, he did a lot of the streamlining with it and then, but then we were budgeting and they were budgeting. And so it was getting double funded. And so then we took out everything from ours. Well, at the same time that they took everything out of theirs because they wanted to lower their budget too.
But since it's been happening, the field has been significantly improved.
Yes.
So I fully support it continuing.
Any other questions on anything that we've covered tonight,
So.
or
under
questions from the audience?
This road maintenance, if we end up paving the part of Ferry Road next to where the new parking area is gonna turn, will that have to be in this budget?
it should be,
We don't have a number at the moment.
don't. And I haven't got that in here. Whatever that might be.
It was somewhere between 50 and 100.
Yeah, that's too much. I mean, we might only have, we usually perhaps budget 100 or 200,000 for the island for paving, so I can't visualize putting it all, that much down there.
Now, was that 50 to 100 if we had them come out and just do that job, or was that if we had them coming out to do other jobs and then we could have them do that as well?
That was the hope, but we didn't have any guarantee it with that. The way it stands right now is the engineers are supposed to be doing a survey in March. I don't know where that cost is coming from either. And then they're gonna have a plan, and then we have an option to either do it ourselves or as part of something else, or getting an outside contractor to do it. But I have to admit, I haven't been right on top of coming up with a budget, because it seems premature before we even had agreement from DOT that we could do it.
So the question then is it gonna be done in fiscal year 27?
I hope so.
Then in theory, yes, we do need to budget for it.
All right, so I'm gonna talk to Bill tomorrow and see if we have any advance. He was gonna go and meet with the DOT engineers one more time to make sure that his schematic plan was acceptable to them before we went ahead and did the first survey, which was $3,000 and $2,500. It was some small amount of money. And that would be define how big that project was gonna be.
I think it would be cheaper if we are, and I am budgeting for paving. If someone came out here and I showed that to them and said, we just wanna. Similar to what's in front of Big Tree Beach, just a paved strip
Yes,
up there. Or down there, and get a price for that. You wouldn't hire someone just to come out and do that, that's where that. 50,000 probably came from. But that might have included guardrails too.
it included the guardrails. There are 2 speed bumps that DOT required because the design speed of the road is 35 miles an hour, even though nobody can drive there. And I just thought it was premature to try and estimate all that before we actually had agreement that we could do it. But if it has to be, I mean, I realize that I've been in this and not doing more on top of this for tonight, but.
Well, we have 4 weeks, 3 or 4
Right.
weeks, so.
Okay. I'm gonna redouble our efforts to come up with a number.
Alright, any other questions on things tonight? Alright, for next meeting, just, we will have a hard stop at 6 because we have our regular board meeting, so we may have to adjust the schedule for future budget workshops. How much we get through. Alright. We're not, this is a workshop, so. No need for motions.
Second.
But